you're a law aspirant, the most inspirational figures that we have are Harvey Specter from Suits, Harish Salve, Cyril Shroff, Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas, and many more of these sort. Do you know why? Because जो crisp हमको दिखाई देता है, the way they speak, the way they present, the way they communicate themselves is what is super sexy and exciting, isn't it? क्योंकि reality तो कोई बताता ही नहीं है. Were they like this in the first year of choosing law as a career? Were they the same as they are today? Nobody talks about the challenges that anybody coming from a middle class family would face becoming a corporate lawyer. Or maybe nobody talks about any weaknesses that you might have or might face during your journey. This is the place where we are here with our fourth episode of Better Tomorrow, where we have got Ravi Vaswani, a famous corporate lawyer running his own firm by the name Zentrum Partners, had worked with the big giants like Puma, IBM, and many more. He was a pathetic communication person. He couldn't talk properly, he couldn't speak well. He just ruined his first presentation during his college days. Still, he bounced back. He talked about his journey on how did he improve in all of these skills and turned out to be a fantastic corporate lawyer. Let us hear him out. Let's see what all challenges he has faced. Coming from a typical middle class background, how did he manage each and everything, right from sending money to the family, managing his own expenses, having the gala time of his life, and much more. We are here to tell you everything as to what a corporate lawyer in reality looks like. So stay tuned till the end. In the meantime, you can also write down to us at udan.toprankers.com, which is our community where you can ask anything and everything around career related problems, mental health, and many more. That's a one-stop solution for all of you. By the time, let's get started with Ravi Vaswani as our special guest today. Personally, I loved this podcast. I hope you will love it too.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very, very honored, privileged to be here. Thank you so much, Sukriti, for inviting me here. I feel I'm so grateful to you, and I consider this as a brilliant platform, opportunity to speak to young students, young crowd of India, and so privileged, so honored. Thank you so much.
That's a bang on start, honestly. And now I feel absolutely pumped up to continue with you on this particular podcast. So let's get started. Tell me, how's life? How's everything going on at your end?
Oh, life is brilliant. Life is amazing. I'm very thankful, very grateful to whatever things which are happening with me at the moment. We have got a young daughter. We have a 2-year-old kid. We play around with her. Work-wise, it has been going well. We are solving multiple issues. We are solving, range of legal problems which businesses do face. So I think we are able to add value. We are able to deliver value, and it's a brilliant experience. I couldn't have asked more from the life. So very happy.
That's so lovely. So since you talked about it, you're solving a lot of legal problems. Since how long have you been into this profession?
I think it's almost 12 years now.
Oh.
I graduated from NLIU in 2011. That is National Law Institute University. I also did my CS course back then. So I happened to be a dual qualified lawyer plus company secretary. And then I worked with range of companies, corporates, startups, and now have my own law firm called Zentrum Law.
By the name?
Zentrum Law Partners.
Perfect.
So we are a corporate law firm. We specialize in corporate matters. We take care of the legal needs of businesses, and we are very proud to sort of manage and deal with
That's
legal
really
issues.
nice. So you just spoke about that you are also a CS. Is that helping you in your profession by any chance, or was it just a degree you took back then? Since you're already a graduate, you are a lawyer by profession. So why CS in between?
I think that's a fantastic question. I remember when I was in law school, I was honestly clueless, right? I mean, for me, law happened accidentally. I had no idea what sort of a field I'll choose into, where would I really go, how future would pan out for me. And out of, honestly speaking, frankly speaking, out of those insecurities, I chose CS as an additional option to give me a cushioning around, my future securities. And that's how CS happened for me. But in hindsight, if I see, it has worked out very, very well. I believe CS and law is a very, very good combination. I think it exposes to diverse set of issues which typically as a lawyer you may not get, right? You have a very good understanding around corporate governance, you would have very good understanding around regulatory compliances, corporate legal matters. And as a professional, I think you are able to give a very comprehensive legal advice to your clients if you also have the
More detailed
more
one.
detailed, more comprehensive, right? You won't restrict yourself to only certain aspects of the issues, and you won't say that, for that you'll have to rely on someone else, right? So you are able to handle larger issues, just being a one person, right? So I think that's really fascinating and fantastic.
So, since you said that you were confused back then, so if we go a little more earlier in your school life, in 11th and 12th, what subject did you choose?
So yes, I had maths and science. I was not a commerce. I didn't have a commerce background. I think I was pretty good with mathematics, right? And typically, what I have seen is that people who are not with good maths, they choose subjects like law, right? They are the ones who actually choose, professions like law. But on the contrary, I chose law, right? So I don't know why I took that decision, but I realized that, if you are good with mathematics, you have a very strong logical mindset, right?
Correct.
You have a very strong analytical mindset, you have a very critical mindset, and that I believe really helped me. If I look back, how my career shaped up, I was not good with my communication skills. I was not good, I mean, I had no background around humanities, arts, etc., right? And a lot of people had advantage in college who came with that sort of a background. So I really struggled on that front. But eventually, I think things fell in place, and somehow I managed to navigate through.
So, was choosing law your first choice ever? Because back then, I'm sure, even today, because we know that parents go for an engineering degree, go for a doctor or a medical degree, what we call. Was law still your first choice?
No, frankly speaking, law was not my first choice. I, in fact, had no idea about the law schools back then. Uh, I remember I enrolled for IIT preparation since I had a math science background, and I was decently good at these subjects. I was doing fairly well, but something happened. I think there was some turning point. I don't know how this happened. I got influenced by someone who was pursuing law, who was pursuing the preparation of law schools, and that somehow moved me. I got inspired. I said, "ठीक है, I'll also do that." And yes, thankfully I could do that. God was kind to me. I could clear the exam, and that's how I got into a law school.
So you had support from like your friends and other people around. You might be discussing this thought, of course, that okay, I'm planning to choose a different field. Why I'm using the word different? Because
Yeah.
even today, parents are not very okay about it. Friends are not very okay about it. The society is not easily accepting a niche field.
Yeah.
Okay, now a lot of
Yeah.
awareness is there, but at the same time, I'm sure 12 years ago,
Yeah.
even more, because you said
Yeah.
that you got
16,
graduate.
17 years.
Yes.
Yeah, now. Yes.
So was it okay? Were your friends and
Yeah.
whosoever you met around, were they all
Yeah.
okay about it?
No, I mean, really, it took a lot of effort on my part to convince my parents. I think they were shocked. They were
Okay.
shocked to the core. I made them spend so much on my IIT preparations, right? And I come from a very humble middle class background, right? So, firstly, telling them that I want to do them, I want to do IIT, that was, itself was a big thing. They got convinced because, of course, I had to choose a career, and that was a, traditional career. And they spent a lot of money, right? Back then, even the coachings were very expensive. I went to, best coaching centers. I, in fact, changed many. But then, when I got into 12th standard and the mid of the year, I remember I told them, and I went to them, I told them that, look, maza nahi aa raha hai. I think I want to do something different. And everyone is doing IIT, so I think I should do something else. And there is this cool guy in my school. He's doing
Law
law
preparation.
preparation. So I also want to do that.
Okay.
And I still remember their face. They were completely taken aback. They had no idea. They had no clue what they were talking about. And somehow, and of course they had no option, right? They had to agree because I was very persuasive. I was very adamant on that. I made them pay fees for my buying those books for preparation, etc.
Did you go for any coaching back then?
No, I mean, I don't think I went to any coaching, but yes, but this friend of mine, he was quite helpful. I borrowed books from him, and that's how I studied. Unfortunately, he couldn't clear it. but
Okay.
yeah, that's the sad part of it. And I also remember later when the result came out, he even didn't speak to me. He was so upset with me. Isne mera saman leke pad liya, and then.
So, since you said that maths had helped you,
Yeah.
you even took these books from your friend, as you're saying.
Yeah.
So, do you really recommend that even today, when students are opting for a subject, since you're connecting the dots backwards
Yeah.
and you see that mathematics had shaped your overall career journey,
Yeah.
so should that be a preference, a choice that students should opt, or no, it's okay, it's fine if they go and choose humanities or commerce for that matter?
See, I think it boils down to your interest. If I have to go back and advise myself, right, 18-year-old myself, I would say, choose where you really are inclined towards naturally, right? Um Back then I think we didn't have those privileges, right? There was no internet. There was no way you could gather the information. You could rely on bunch of people, and whatever tell you, that would become bible for you, right? Today, you live in an age where everything is accessible to you, right? You
At a
can
click.
at a click, right? So that's the beauty of it, right? That's the beauty of the technology today. So today you are much better placed to make a much wiser decision for yourself than you were 12, 15, 20 years back.
Correct.
Right. So today I would tell them, see, if you like humanities, go for it. If you like maths, go for it. If you like science, go for it, right?
And all thanks to law as a career, which is a stream neutral field.
Yeah.
So thankfully, we do not have that eligibility criteria that you have to opt for PCM. It's okay if you're liking PCM and still want to pursue law, that can be done.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think,
Perfect.
and that's the beauty of being human, right? Everything is doable. There is nothing, that really restricts you or that stops you from doing what you want to do. It's just that I believe you need to have that fire in your belly. You need to have a dream, and if you are chasing it, things will fall in place.
Perfect. So you mentioned that you come from a typically middle class family. Eventually, I know that you went to work with Puma, you went to work with IBM. So did you ever felt left out, or maybe how did you gel up in this kind of an environment where a typical corporate structure
Yes,
and
yes.
coming from a family, a tier
Yes,
2 city?
absolutely.
How did you manage? Did college life help you in this transformation?
I think that's an excellent question. Excellent question. I remember, initial couple of years of my college, I was I was lost. It was quite burdening. Everything felt like too huge. Everything felt like, too much. I also remember there was a point in a time I was sort of doubting my own decision of choosing law, right? But then I also didn't want to give up. I had this, thing in me that I want to fight. I'll see how things will shape up, and I'll make best efforts, right? This is what I wanted to do, and I think that's something which I continued to do. I remember I moved to IBM in 2013. I joined there as an attorney sub asia, and my profile was to work on range of IT transactions, MSCs, SOWs, etc. And my role was to negotiate contracts. And I still remember I was so scared of that work, right? I was asked to call people who were based out of different geographies. I was asked to speak to people who are based out of UK, US, Singapore, right? I mean, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't get any formal training around it, right? I mean, I knew I could, and college gave me that platform, right? And the live gave me a very, it gave me a fantastic platform. I think I transformed as a person, but again, the place had its own challenges, right?
What
But
was
somehow,
that biggest challenge that you faced? Like you're saying that it had many challenges. So according to you, if you did, we date back to that particular year, the first year of IBM, where you were like every night feeling, कैसे करूँ मैं इस चीज़ को?
I think it was quite daunting that way. I think initial couple of months were difficult. I got selected and I wanted to get selected. The work was very different. I was made to sit good 10, 12 hours at one place. I was reviewing documents. I was making changes to it. The work would go to my seniors, then they would review it. They would share their feedback on that, right? And then you have to take everything by pinch of salt, right? You may not agree to it, but then you have no other way out, right?
Correct.
They are your seniors. They are teaching you. You are learning. We were taught by lawyers who were we were in fact taught by American lawyers, right? They were our bosses, and they would tell us that this is how you have to do. This is the process that you need to follow. This is acceptable. This is not acceptable. So there were way too many systems and processes there, right? And I think I was very uncomfortable initially with that, but now in hindsight, I'm very grateful, to those people who taught me those way of working. I learned how to review a document. I learned how to redline a document, right? And I consider myself very fortunate that I was trained by the best in the IT space, right, in the tech space. I got exposed to the best of the systems, best of the processes. I understood how large organizations operate, right? How large organizations think, what drives them, what motivates them, and what sort of impact they create. So I think all of that really shaped me as an individual,
But
and
you also mentioned that you were not good at communication skills,
Yeah.
which absolutely doesn't look like right now. And
Okay.
I have always heard one thing. In fact, whenever I take my sessions also on law as a career, I always talk about that how important communication skills are. Even today, when I make my reels and I talk to people that, okay, what are the 5 skills that you should know? The first, I mean, communication skills always bags the top position.
Yeah.
How did you manage? I mean, since you mentioned that at IBM you were supposed to talk to
Oh yeah,
American and
yes,
UK
yes.
clients, and then in that case,
Oh, I was
wasn't
scared.
that a bottleneck ever?
That was huge bottleneck for me. I came from a background where I think in my school I didn't learn English, right? I mean, for the sake of it was there, but we never spoke, right? Especially in a city like Bhopal, you don't have that culture,
Correct.
right? My school was also very, I mean, it was a non-convent school, right? So we didn't have a you don't
Privilege
really
to
get
speak
yes
in English,
yes. I didn't get that opportunity or privilege to speak, right? Nor even we considered that enough important,
Back then,
back then. But then when I got into college, I think my logical mind triggered, right? And that told me that if you have to survive, that is one basic skill you must need, right? You may or may not be good at law.
So how did you manage? You used to watch a lot of movies, read a lot of
I
books.
think I did a lot of hard work. I remember, first one of my first presentations in the college, and I screwed it up. It was so bad, it was so horrible. I can't even, tell you that.
Have
It
you got
was-
any pictures of that? Please do share.
So that was a very difficult time, but thankfully that happened to me at the right time. And I wish that could happen to everyone early on in your career or early on in your school or college life, so that these are the issues, these are the things that you need to work on. And I believe this is like any other skill which you can acquire, right?
Correct.
Which you can follow a process. There are methods around it. If you work towards it, you will be able to develop it. So I
So-
did a lot of things, right? The way you
Yeah.
said, right? I watched movies, I listened songs, I also went to some coaching classes, right? I read books, and a lot of friends, right? I mean, NLI was a brilliant place. It was a great place. We had people from all over the country.
Correct.
So I would go make it a point, speak to them, and they were very kind to help me,
So
to
there was
guide
that
me.
extra mile you walked every time to make sure that your public speaking skills.
Yeah, I mean, that was I think back then, my logical mind was telling me to do that because that was the need of
Need
the
of
hour.
the hour, yeah.
And today also, I think I make a sincere effort towards it. I don't know sincere or conscious or unconscious, but I think that is one skill which you need to constantly work on. And thankfully, we are today in this space in the world where, which comes, you have a lot of platforms through which you gather that skill.
True that. So as you mentioned, the first company that you worked with was IBM. Was that a college placement?
No, so, okay, there is a,
Yeah,
there's-
because I wanted to ask, did you sit for college placements or not?
No, very good. I think that's a brilliant question. I sat. I
Okay.
was a part of college placement process.
So I spoke to your friend Harsh, my brother.
Okay.
He also did the same thing.
Yes.
He told me, yes, I sat for 2, got rejected in both.
Yes. We were badly rejected.
Okay.
We were completely rejected. And what we realized? It's their loss, right? Not ours.
Oh, that's a nice way to put it up.
So, but yeah, I mean, we were fortunate. Things fell in place. I got my first job from a Akriti group of companies that was in Bhopal, MP only. That was a leading group back then, conglomerate into real estate, hospitality, sugar industries, and many other things, right? So that's how I started. And thankfully, I'm very thankful that that really worked for me. The kind of exposure that I got there was unimaginable. I remember, I was 22-year-old, and I was working with some of the best brains as in, right? I was working with the directors of the company. I was a part of the I was exposed to the senior management of the company. Back then I also cleared CS, right? So I was also managing the CS portfolio there. So I understood, how management work, right? How directors function. What is it like to be in a boardroom, right? What sort of discussions they do, how a decision making is done, what are the important considerations for businesses, right? And I could see, as a lawyer, right, I was able to add so much of a value,
Value to
right?
it.
And
Okay.
the good thing or bad thing was that I didn't have any senior in the legal space, right? I was directly reporting to CFO there. So my learnings were very, very different there, right? I was not getting a legal training there, but I was getting a lot of training around businesses, right?
Okay.
And they were relying on my advisors directly. I would tell them ki, sir, ye garbad hai, this is what needs to be done. They would really value it, right?
Okay.
So, which is unimaginable for me today,
Today, correct.
by being 15 years in the profession, that I would rely on someone who is just fresh out of the college, right? So the confidence which I got there, the trust which the management put in
That
me
would
back
be.
then was immense. And that really, really, influenced me, moved me as a person, and helped me start a good career trajectory.
So IBM was the first, second was Puma.
No, yeah. So first was this, then I moved to IBM.
Okay.
And from IBM, I moved to Puma.
Okay. So what made you shift was it just the financial growth or there were other reasons as well? And was it the same city?
Yeah, it was same city, yes. So IBM was Bangalore, Puma again was Bangalore. Uh, in IBM, I think after a point in a time, I realized I was sort of doing the same thing over and over again and
Okay.
again. But I think that was the modus operandi, right, of the department there. It was a very large organization. They don't want to take too many chances. They believe in training associates, and give them a particular specialization, right?
But I think that's a very important point. I'll tell you why I'm just cutting you here, because normally what students do is, especially right now, what we call Gen Z,
Yeah.
switch very quick.
Yeah.
They're like, offer milani. What we see, I don't want to take the names of the big giants, but I have seen how they poach people. And just because, okay, 2x salary, 3x salary, they don't realize that
Yeah.
there is a lot you need to absorb first from this company. Figure out that, okay, there's a reason which is like mundaneness. Yeah,
Yeah.
बहुत boring हो रहा है, now we should
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
So this is something very important value that students should understand.
Right.
It's not just the money because of which you should be
Yeah.
changing, but
Absolutely.
a lot many other factors.
Absolutely right. And see, you'll have your unique reasons, right? Each one will have its own reasons. My reasons were that I wanted to learn more, right? I was in the formative years of my career. I wanted to learn more and more, right? I was thankful that IBM was a place where I got a formal training around how typically as a transactional or as a corporate lawyer you should function. How you would look at a document, how would you review it, how would you negotiate. I think I learned how to negotiate the contracts, right? I never did that before in my life. I would do random conversations, but IBM gave me a beautiful training around it. I was trained so well. I learned the finer nuances around taking any position on any clause, right? Why a clause is there, what is the background around it, what are the alternate positions, what are the industry standards. I'm so thankful for that.
Seeing your happiness question with these companies, still
Yeah.
I want to ask that,
Yeah.
right, in college the most common thing is कि मतलब the easiest is कि litigation में
Yeah.
चले जाओ.
Yeah.
आपको कभी ऐसा नहीं लगा कि I could have tried that, या आपका हमेशा से becoming a corporate lawyer was a thing कि मुझे ये job करनी है?
I think and that's where the role of internships come into play. I interned at a couple of places where I got exposed to litigation, court practices, but somehow I think I didn't get as moved as I got with corporates, right? So and it depends on person to person, right? And things fell in place for me, right? I mean, my journey started through corporate, right? And I tend to learn, I tend to perform, and I tend to grow there.
So did you have a typical 9 to 5 job?
Typical 9 to 5 job? No, never. I think
Okay.
I never had that.
So I'll tell you why I asked this
yeah.
question. So when I tell the students that these are the options, let's say one of them is corporate law.
Yeah.
What we tell them is that अच्छा है सुबह 9 बजे जाओ 5 बजे आ जाओ सैलरी पहले दिन से पता है कि अकाउंट में आने वाली है सो दैट इज अ सेफर ऑप्शन सो एज यू आर सेइंग दैट ऐसा नहीं है 9 से 5 की जॉब नहीं थी
Yeah.
सो आपका कितना
Right.
टाइमिंग्स पे यू वर गोइंग टू द ऑफिस व्हाट टाइम वर यू रिटर्निंग डिड यू हैव अ वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस बैक देन?
Oh, See, I was fortunate to work with the MNCs, right? And they had very good HR policies. The good thing was that we didn't have to work on weekends, which means Saturdays would be off. Right? I was very
I think
privileged.
that's a very Bangalorean culture also.
Yeah, yeah.
Normally they have a 5-day work
Right,
week.
right. That's quite an IT culture. That's quite an MNC culture, and I was fortunate to be a part of that. I learned that you can be productive on your weekdays, and then weekends are for you to
Recreate
rejuvenate
and
yourself,
rejuvenate, right?
right? Um but yes, but when you say weekdays, I think I remember I would start my day at 9, and then there were also days I would be in the office till 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock,
Oh.
3 o'clock. Not that you were asked to do that, but out of your own interest, out of your own
Passion for work,
passion for
maybe.
work, right? You want to deliver, you want to perform, you want to learn, right? You want to be less dependent on others, which means you'll have to put sheer hard work, right? And of course, there is no alternate to hard work, right?
Correct.
uh, the only way to learn, I believe, is the self learning, right? When you do things by your own.
True that.
So I remember, I would put those extra work hours. I would try to learn as much as possible. I would want to prepare myself, before going for any, call negotiations. uh, I would read, I would gather as much as possible. I would go speak to my colleagues, I would go speak to my seniors, I would ask for help, and that's how it
So
worked out.
if we look
Yeah.
at your journey, Puma, and then you started your own. Now you're an entrepreneur, right?
So I would also want to touch upon the Puma life, right?
Okay.
I think that was one of the most fascinating times, that I have spent in my corporate journey, in my professional journey. It
Was it all
was
fancy,
it was
fancy?
it was super fancy word. I think I had a time of my life.
Okay.
That's, I believe, it's one of the best places to work with. Uh, Firstly, there was no formal wear, right? As
Okay.
lawyers, anyway, you are supposed to wear this black and white. uh, in corporates also you wear business casuals, but there it was all casuals, right?
Okay.
uh, the company would make you play sports. I played all the possible sports, you
Oh,
name it, I played it, right? I played TT, I played badminton, I played tennis, I played basketball. All of these fancy sports I never played in school, I never played in college. I don't know why, but Puma gave me that platform. I think we were working less and we were playing more.
okay.
And the company had this, as this amazing philosophy, and I also try to imbibe by now. It says, happy people bring happy businesses.
Oh, lovely.
So that was the culture of that organization. I was so amazed with everything that was happening in Puma. And I think that place gave me an environment which really nurtured me as a professional, right? I learned, how to build relationships,
Okay.
how to build and develop deep relationships. And I believe that's a very, very important aspect of your, corporate professional life. Networking. We traveled places. Before that, I traveled in India, but Puma made me travel across, right? I traveled to so many places. I was also given this award called Debutant of the Year in the first year of mine, and that was given to us in Bali. So I was very,
Lovely.
very fortunate to have been, to have worked with a company like Puma, and they duly appreciated my work as well.
Did you face any particular challenge in such a big giant company?
There were challenges, of course. There were challenges. Once you,
What was your job exactly there?
yeah. See, so I was managing the India legal business there.
Okay.
I was a corporate counsel there. I would work with business folks. I would work very closely with the business leaders, right? And these guys they came from best of the B schools, right? These guys were from IIMs, right? IITs, etc. And I would work very closely with these guys, help them navigate through the transactions. We would structure the deals, right? We would structure the regulatory compliances. We would negotiate the terms of the contracts with companies like with many companies, like be it from the e-commerce space, say Amazon, Myntra. I remember I also went to fancy offices of Myntra, Amazon, etc. A very, very different word, very colorful,
So
bright
maybe
word.
what we can infer from this particular conversation is that once in a lifetime, every student should work with such kind of a company.
Oh, of course. If you get
You
a
get a lot
chance,
of-
I think you'll be very lucky. You'll be very lucky. I think stars aligned for me, and that's how it happened. but brilliant place,
So
brilliant place.
Puma was the last, and then you started your own
No,
pet
no, no.
shop.
I think I made another change.
Okay.
So Puma, I worked there for good three and a half years.
Okay.
I did a lot of work there. Also, I managed a lot of critical litigations there, compliances. I was also managing their CS function. I was taking care of non-retail businesses, e-commerce businesses, etc. Yes, so I worked there for 3.5 years, and then I got this fantastic opportunity from Bombay. Uh, I got this opportunity from UPL, which is the United
Okay.
Phosphorus Limited. It's a giant, it's a global giant. But the good thing is that it's a Indian MNC. So then I went to UPL, right? And that really gave me a very different perspective to life. When I was in Bangalore, I never felt and I never thought, even this idea didn't struck me ever, that I would get old.
Okay.
Once I started working in Mumbai, I realized, when I saw oldies around, when I saw mature people around, I realized, this is the future. And I'll also have to go through this phase one day.
Okay.
And I think that really triggered me as a person, as an individual.
And was that the reason you started your own something?
That was very, very thought provoking.
Okay.
I realized that, I can't see myself going to office when I would turn 60, right? I mean, I would not want myself to be in a city where, when there is so much of chaos. I mean, with all due respect to Bombay and the professional culture it has, but especially for someone like me who come from a tier 2 city, I've been born and raised here, it was difficult for me to get adjusted to that environment, to that setting,
Fast
right?
pacing.
That's such a fast paced environment, right? Bangalore was very different from Bombay, right? And of course, Bhopal is very different from Bangalore, but Bombay was the other word, right? I've been there, and during my college times, I've done few internships there, uh, but somehow I think I got a real flavor of Bombay when I went there. But to its credit, the learnings that I've got there, the exposure and the experience which I got in Bombay, especially in UPL, was immense. Was I think life changing. I was a global counsel there, which means I was taking care of UPL's global business. I was working with folks based out of different regions, and this time it was a different story. In previous organizations, our bosses were there, right? Here, we were the bosses.
Oh, okay.
So you would not believe, a lawyer based out of UK, a lawyer based out of Europe is actually relying on your advice. He's writing to you and telling you, Ravi, is this fine? Is this doable? Can you do this, right? So I think the sheer pleasure of working with an Indian MNC was so, it was unmatchable. I think it was a pride moment. I think there was this nationalist within me which was very, happy, which was very satisfied that, that's this is also, a world where you can work. So amazing experience, worked on range of legal issues, worked on range of international and global issues, worked with best of the international law firms. Uh, I made friends from all over the world. Now I have friends in South Africa, I have friends in Europe, I have friends in Korea. I mean,
Every
what an
part of the
experience. Every
world.
part of the world.
But then,
Thanks
what
to
was
UPL.
that turning point where you decided that, okay, corporate life is not my cup of tea anymore and I should be starting something of my own? What was that? See, because
Yeah.
the problem is, there's a lot of lack of planning I see these days in students, because entrepreneurial culture, the entire ecosystem is so fascinating
Yeah.
that they don't understand the nuances and then they still want to start. So what was that turning point in your life? Where did you started planning that, okay, this is now what I'm going to do? Did you really plan and
I
plan it?
planned, yes, yes. No, that's a very good question. Uh, I think I always had this entrepreneurial mindset. I think I always want to do something of my own, but lack of money is a big problem in this
Of
country, right?
course.
And I think this was biggest problem for me, at least. So I wanted to have some sort of a financial stability before really embarking on, entrepreneurial journey. Uh, and I then got introduced to this wonderful concept of financial independence and early
Retire
retirement.
early. Okay,
Yes, retire
fire.
early. Yes,
I
fire
know.
movement. Yes, yes, yes. And thanks to COVID also, COVID came, and you got a lot of time to think about things. I was not, which I was not really
Which
thinking
year did you
about.
get married, if I may ask?
2019.
2019. Was that
2019.
right before you started your firm already, or
No,
you were
no, no,
working?
no, no, no. I started just a year back, 2021, 2023.
So,
No, we are in 23, 22.
so 19 to 22. What was the take of your wife? I mean, was she okay you starting up something new where a handsome salary might have been already
Yeah.
there, and then
Yeah.
taking that leap?
It's a big consideration. It's a huge consideration. Thankfully, I'm very grateful to my wife. I think she has been one of the most supportive person I had on my side. She told me, "ठीक है, we'll manage. You see whatever you want to do." And but the good thing was that I worked towards it. Right, going back, in past, I realized that I wanted to do this, and I need a financial cushioning around it, and I really worked towards it. I decided a number. I was investing heavily. I was taking risk. I got and my CS studies also helped me around that. I invested in a lot of avenues. I think I'm a avid investor. I invest on stocks, mutual funds, real estate.
So you properly planned.
It was really planned, right? I really worked towards it. I achieved a financial number, and then I told myself, now I have achieved, in a way, sort of a financial freedom,
Where
so
you
that
can
at
start
least
up
I could
something
take
of
care
your
of myself, right? I would not be dependent on my wife or anyone else, and and that really gave me
So,
that push.
push. A question that I'm going to digress from here, and that is, you're saying you were earning well, everything went well. Still,
Yeah.
you belong to a family which is a middle class
Yeah.
one. So, how did you spend your early 20s? Were you supposed to send a big chunk of your salary to home, and how were all those things managed? Because
Yeah.
students need to understand that what corporate lawyers life look like, it's
Yeah.
not always bed of roses. They
Yeah.
need to understand, because we'll have students from all sorts of backgrounds. Somebody coming from a fantastic
Yeah.
financial background, somebody coming from a family where they might not have supportive parents,
Yeah.
all sorts. So we need to understand that in the worst case scenarios, how did you manage? Were you a heavy spender or something? Where did you spend the most of your
I think I was
salary?
mad. I was mad with money. I didn't know how to manage it at all.
And today you
This
say
is
you
the
are a
first
fantastic
time.
investor.
Oh.
Oh.
No, I remember when money came to me, I just didn't know what to do with it. I really went mad, and see, if you come from a humble middle class background, you you're so used to of saying no to yourself, right? You have restrained yourself from all the luxuries of the life,
What
right?
was the first luxury that you really bought and you still remember?
I see. I mean, I bought every possible thing you could have thought of.
Okay.
I bought
I'm excited to know
everything.
the answer.
I bought
Like
everything.
an
I
iPhone.
I bought the best phone. I bought the best bike. I bought the best car. I I would remember I would go to malls and do the shopping. I would go to the best of the brands, and I'll just go and buy the best.
But didn't your parents pulled you back out of it, or advise you not to do that and
So
be
no, but
more
I think
judicious in spending?
they did. But then I think for initial 6 years they also let me do
Enjoy
that.
life.
Yes, let me enjoy that. I think they were supportive.
Okay.
Because they also knew that I've sort of worked very hard to get this,
Achieve
and
this
then
life, yes.
and they also knew that this is just the initial phase, then I'll the sanity will hit, and thankfully that hit. I realized that when I started staying alone in Bangalore, I realized the importance of saving. I realized the importance of money. Every penny matters. How do you have to manage it? I used to spend lavishly. I mean, I've wasted so
So,
much.
what is that one piece of advice that you would like to give to yourself if you were as young as 22?
Invest early. I started late, but thankfully I started. Start early as possible. I love this beautiful concept of compounding. Compounding is a very powerful way of seeing your money grow, and it has been working very well for me in last 10 years at least, because I could have at least started way earlier, at least by 2011. But anyway, power of compounding is so amazing, so beautiful. Invest in mutual funds, invest in stocks.
You worked in big corporates in tier one city. What made you change your mind? And was UPL the last one after which you came down to Bhopal, started your own venture, or was there any other transition in between? So one, what was the transition? Two, what made you change your mind?
Okay, good. I think it's a very intense question. uh, this happened in 2020 March. Uh, COVID hit, things completely changed upside down. Uh, we came here, and I remember we came here before lockdown. We came here actually for a weekend, and then lockdown started. And I think that was a time which not just us, I think, but everyone got a chance to sort of reinvent themselves, right? You got
Experiment.
yes, experiment. You got so much time to think about yourself, right? I think you got a lot of clarity in your mind as to what is that you really want, right? What are your long-term goals? What are your aspirations? And I think you could make some meaningful decisions during that time. And one of the meaningful decision which we could make collectively, me and Hershey, well, that we would want to be in Bhopal, right? We would want to stay in Bhopal. We were from the city. Our parents were here, and both of us are very closely connected to our parents. And somehow we felt, that is the place where we want to be, right? Yes, but there were challenges. How would we, continue our professional career journeys, right? Of course, lack of money is a big problem in this country, and it continued to be for most of us. So. So that was a concern, right? While we were contemplating all of this, I got an opportunity from another company named AgroStar. They were offering me a position of legal head. That was a general counsel position, and it was a startup. It was a leading agri-tech company, and I took that plunge. I joined. The company was in Pune, but they gave me an option of work from home, and for almost 2 years I worked remotely. I was managing the entire team. We were working on emails. We were working on WhatsApps. It was crazy bunch of people. The experience was very different from how I have worked, what it was in, other
IBM, Human,
organizations, in
other.
previous large organizations.
Yeah.
Everything was on toes. You were taking decisions like this, right? I learned the difference, between the perfection versus speed, right? I understood the importance of speed. I understood the importance of execution. How important it is to execute things on time, right? As lawyers, you don't know that. I think that's what I learned there. It was an amazing place. I got introduced to the world of startup. I got introduced to the world of founders, entrepreneurs, and that really, really moved me as a person. uh, I worked on fundraisers. I worked on acquisitions there. I was sort of spearheading that. I was managing that. I was managing lawyers. I was managing investors. I was managing the lawyers of investors. I was managing the investor relationship managers of investors. It was all crazy. I was managing my team. I was managing my own founders. It was a very, very different experience. I learned so much in those 2 years, and I think that gave me that confidence, that gave me that belief.
I was about to ask that
Yeah.
because you were learning so much, was this the reason that you realize, okay, I can now, because now I've got a flavor, a
Yeah.
hang of everything that a corporate lawyer should be doing. Therefore, I can start up my own thing. Was that the thing?
Yeah, I think I got a very, very good exposure, and I'm very, very thankful and grateful to life for that. Things fell in place for me. I was there at the right time, at the right place, and I think that was the right time for me to make a shift to starting my own practice,
Okay.
right? And it just happened. The company said, why don't you come to Pune, because everyone has moved, work from home is over, and of course for efficiency, productivity reasons, it's better to be in the Pune, right? And you will not believe, all my life when I was in Bangalore, Bombay, I wanted to move to Pune. The reason was that is one of the most livable cities,
Yes, absolutely.
in my view, after Bhopal.
Of course.
So but then it was a very, very difficult choice to make. I think mentally I was not prepared to leave Bhopal back then. We came here 2020. By 2022 everything was set. We had our routines here. We were having great time with our family, extended family, friends. I also made some investments here in real estate in Bhopal, and I think I was mentally clear that अब यहीं
अब
रहना
भोपाल
है,
में ही
अब
रहना है.
भोपाल में ही रहना है, यही हमारा देश है. But I had I still have very high aspirations. I want to take this law firm Zentrum to across the globe. I want to make it a international law
You want
firm
to make it
starting
the
from
other
here.
Puma?
I want to imbibe. I want to apply all the learnings that I have gotten from companies like Puma and want to incorporate that here. I know it's very difficult to do being a startup company, right? The resources are limited. You have to stretch. There are multiple challenges, but I think it's super challenging. It's super exciting, and I'm thoroughly enjoying the journey so far.
So how big you have as a team? How many people are there in your team right now?
So we are a lean team. We are a couple of partners. Then we have couple of associates. Then we have extended teams, right? As in when required, we engage them. We take their help, and that's how we.
Do you
manage
offer
it.
internships to students?
Oh yes, we do. We do.
Okay.
We have an internship program
So
which
now we
runs.
can tell the students that Zentrum is one of those companies which you can also apply in case you are during your college years.
Oh yes, certainly. I mean, if you are interested to apply, please apply, and we'll be more than happy to offer you the internships and would like to
Perfect.
share our learnings with you.
Great. So any piece of advice that you feel as a corporate lawyer, or rather as a lawyer, as a person coming out of the college, you want to give to the parents, especially because there's still a generation gap, there's still lack of acceptance, and B, to of course the students who are law aspirants.
Okay, two parents. I think. I think what really worked for me, and I'm able to connect now more with my parents. I think they gave me a lot of. I mean, they were not control freaks, right? They let me do things the way I wanted to do, right? They sort of trusted my judgment. I made mistakes and I had my own failures. I think I have failed more than I succeeded, but I think they didn't control that. They let that happen, right?
Do you mind sharing your biggest failure in life so far?
There are many. I think this is not a right place. I would get
Okay.
exposed.
No, I mean, students should know that this success is not the way you were saying. It looked like, okay, it's nice, everything is good, but I really want to know that there were failures and that's how you got the success. It is not that बस एक के बाद सब अच्छा ही होता रहा that way.
No,
Maybe
so yes,
anything
there
that
were
you
failures.
can share, I would
Yes,
say.
yes, no, of course. I remember the second or third day of my college, right? There was this presentation which was to be made, right? And I miserably failed at it. I couldn't even complete my presentation. I was fumbling. I was scared to shit. And I feel I think I still remember that picture. That some of the batchmates, they sort of looked down at me, right? They thought that he's not the right guy. He'll not even sustain. He's not even a part of competition, right? And I also felt back then, right? But I think that was a failure.
So what
Yeah.
I personally see as a person while listening to this story, that
Yeah.
it's important that you did not give up.
Yeah.
In fact, where you knew that मुझे अच्छे से बोलना नहीं आता है, मेरी public speaking skills इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, and this is going to, like you mentioned that it was your logical mind kept on triggering, you worked on that rather than running away from it. Most of the people,
Rather than
of the
going into a
students-
depression of it, right?
Exactly.
Feeling low about it, right?
Yeah, because I have seen students who keep on telling. So I'll tell you a very recent example. I have a student who wants to apply international. She's only scared about one thing. I'm not able to speak properly. I keep on guiding her that, okay, watch movies, because that's how I learned. To be very honest, in 2015 and 16, every day I had watched a movie with subtitles, and that's a practice even today.
Yeah.
Even if I understand, still I want to have the best of experience.
Absolutely.
That's what I tell her, that it's learning with fun. Because she's also a movie person, but you're not applying it the way that, like you mentioned, it's an effort.
Yeah.
So I think this is important. Students should know that you failed the very third day of your college, and today look at you, you are like a fantastic orator, what I can see at least from our conversation. So that's great.
Oh, thank you so much for your kind words.
Okay, so you said that your parents were not controlling you.
Yeah.
So which we understand that there's a very thin line between suggesting and
Yeah.
interfering.
Yes.
So they were always suggesting, they were always advising.
Right.
So when you shared this episode with your parents that you failed and you were nervous, you fumbled, did you
Yeah.
share the episode with your parents, by the way?
Did you share?
This particular episode with your parents? Did they get to know that?
No. They
did
never. They never. They didn't
Okay.
get to see my vulnerabilities, right? I didn't share
Okay.
that with them. I always wanted to see them that I'm doing fine. I'm managing myself well, and I wanted to give them that confidence that if anything will go wrong,
You'll make it right by constant efforts
I'll manage. I'll deal with it.
Perfect. Anything that you want to tell to the students that this is what you should take care, which probably, if given a time, if given a chance to maybe sit in a time machine, make things better, then what is that one thing that you want to tell to your students?
See, I want to go and tell the students, especially to those who come from tier 2, tier 3 cities, who face who were bright in their schools, colleges, but they have reached to an environment where they face competition, when they feel they are lacking, right? They are lagging. They don't have right skills. They are underconfident. To them, I'll tell them, see, have some belief in yourself. What you are facing is only temporary,
Work upon that,
right?
rather.
Yes, that would be short-lived, and in long run, that will go away, right? You'll be able to laugh it off in future, provided you work on it, right? There are a lot of people who don't want to acknowledge it, right? So take feedback, acknowledge what are your shortcomings, and really work towards it. And I believe with the best part with being human is that with your constant efforts, you can overcome any challenges, right? Regardless it could be.
Perfect. So there is a quick rapid fire that I have
I'm all up
prepared
for
for
it.
you. Yeah. Gol chakkar or
Yes.
library chhat.
Library chat.
Mess ka khana or bhabhi ki Maggie.
Bhabhi ka Maggie.
Maggie.
Bhabhi ki Maggie, yes. Yes.
Okay. If not a corporate lawyer, what was that other profession you would have tried?
Bollywood actor.
You recently danced on this song Nacho Nacho. We saw
Okay.
that video.
You got me
Cool.
right.
Perfect. I don't want to know your first case in Zentrum, but I want to know what was the first fees that you charged.
That's secret.
Okay. Which is your favorite TV series?
Friends.
Who's your favorite character?
Ross.
Movie?
Andaz apna apna.
That's a wrap, and I think it was fun. I'm sure all the students who are watching us might have loved it. So we've got a small gift for you. I hope you will like it.
Oh wow.
So this is for you.
Thank you so much. Happy Diwali.
Okay. So that's a wrap. Thank you for being such a lovely guest on this particular podcast of Better Tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Sukriti, for having me here. I had
Most
a wonderful
welcome.
time. It was a pleasure to be here and
Likewise.
wish you the
Absolutely
best.
likewise.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
You are killing it. I'm saying this on record, live. Do you hear it?